Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to exploit PostgreSQL injection, and I'm using an exercise from PentesterLab called From SQL Injection to Shell PostgreSQL Edition. So this is a free exercise, it's free to publish a walkthrough for it, so let's jump in. So this is the website. So I already set up the ISO file. This is the website for it. We're gonna go through what kind of pages do we have. We have a picture in here, and we can search for the pictures with this ID. Let's see around. Yeah. So let's see. If I inject a single code, as always, to detect SQL injection in the beginning, it's giving me an SQL error with pgexec query failed. Given some SQL queries, and this is an amazing start to exploit SQL injection. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm generally trying to learn how many columns I'm dealing with. So I'm starting by ordered by. I'm writing a bigger number first to see if it's giving me an error. It's giving me an error, so I'm decreasing the number 5 until it doesn't give me an error. Four doesn't give me an error. That means there are 4 columns in here that I deal with. So I'm writing union select and say 1, 2, 3, 4. It's giving me an error. So probably in one of these values, um, it's it's been searched in the database, and one of these values probably don't exist in the database, so it's giving me an error. So what I'm gonna do is I'm generally replacing this with null, and it stops giving me an error. That's good. From there, I'm gonna start extracting information, but I don't know in which area I can do this. So I'm starting with generally version, and the first one, which is giving me an error. So the first area is not the one to use. I'm deleting it and I'm writing it in the second area instead of second null. And it's giving me the version information. So the second column is the place that I'm going to extract information of. From there, I'm generally checking for current user. We'll see around what we can extract. PentesterLab, and then we can check for current database. If you're not familiar with these SQL queries for PostgreSQL, I suggest you to check some cheat sheets. There are great cheat sheets online, um, and you can just play around. And current database is Hackxor. That's nice. So there's a cool table that you can extract lots of information. For PostgreSQL is PG tables, and I'm gonna get the table names from there. Okay, let's see. Table name from PG tables. So it's giving me the table names. Pretty cool. As you see, there's users table. That looks juicy. We will check it out later. But I want to show you a couple of more features for PostgreSQL while you're using it for SQL injection. What you can check is you can always check for column names. Column name, let's say from, of course, information schema. From columns, it's giving you the column name. You see passwd, but I want to see specific table name that's associated with the column name. So I'm going to show you how to use a concat feature. Let's say we exercise. Yeah, doesn't matter. So as you remember in MySQL, if you're going to use the concat function, writing it like in the parentheses by saying, let's say, column name and comma, and then you're writing generally a delimiter to to make it readable, and then say table name and stuff. So you can just write everything in the concat function. In PostgreSQL, you're gonna use it as column name, then pipe, and then you can write any delimiter that you want in single quote, and then again pipe, and then table name. So that's the way to use concat function in PostgreSQL. No need to save it. So let's do it in here. Instead of only column name, first I want to write table name, pipe. Let's use a delimiter, and then again pipe. And I want to extract this information from columns again. That looks better. I'm looking for passvd. It's in PG user. What else do we have? That's great. There is a users table and the password column. So that looks cool. I will check for users table, and we'll check for all columns that I can use. Users, login, ID, password. So login and password columns looks cool. So what I'm gonna do is I will replace this as login, and the second information I'm gonna extract will be password, and it will be coming from users table. So we extract the hash for admin. What you can do is you can just ask for it online hash. If it's cracked before, you can just check it online, or you can use hashget or John Draper. But it's already been cracked before, and the password is this. It's pretty straightforward, but since this is a different technology than I showed before from MySQL or MS SQL, I wanted to show you a couple of details about it. Hope you liked it. Cheers. Hi everyone. In this video, I will show you how to do SQL injection while there is WAF and filters in place. So I'm using Hackxor, which is an online CTF. There is also a vulnerable machine that you can set it up in your own environment, but I am interested in Hackxor 1. There's an SQL injection and there are some filters in place. I really like playing with these stuff, so let's jump in. Before I jump into it, I'd like to show you this GitHub repository. I mean, there are plenty of them, but this one is like the first one when you write GitHub SQL injection WAF bypass, and it has really cool payloads. We will use them later during our exploitation, and let me show you the login page. So there's this login page. You can just write username, password for your own payloads. You can inject some stuff in here, but nothing is happening. I couldn't find an SQL injection in here. So when I click no account, it's telling me try our demo account with username demo and password demo. So I thought maybe there are more stuff when I log in that I can expand my attack vectors. So I logged in with demo, and it's giving me this web page with source, target, and date as a table. So I think this is connected to a database, and I want to extract username and passwords from database. So what I did is I just intercepted the request, and let's send this again, and let's see what's going on with burp. So when we logged in, we see this request with user ID, which belongs to our user demo. So there's this session ID and another cookie value. So I'm sending this to repeater, and I'm adding a single quote for user ID parameter, and we're getting an internal server error, which includes some SQL error messages, which is great. This is the baseline for our SQL injection attack. So what I'm gonna do is from there, if there was no filter or something, I would just say order by and change the numbers until I found how many columns I have in here. So when I send 4, for instance, I'm still getting an error. When I send 3, I'm still getting an error. When I say 1, I'm still getting an error. It doesn't change anything. I'm adding some comments on something and it doesn't change. So I'm thinking that probably there are some filters in place. So what I did is I went through this web page, this GitHub repository about WAF bypass, and let's see what kind of possibilities that we can use. For instead of space characters, you can add these characters, or you can add these. These are probably the most common ones, and generally work. Um, I will just go with the most simple one, but these guys, and we'll add them instead of space characters. But what I don't know is with these keywords, if they're also filtered or not. So I will just see it during the video if they're also filtered or not. It's still giving me an error. Okay, let me delete the comment characters. It's still giving me an error. I'm deleting the single code. It's not giving me an error anymore. That's good. I'm increasing the number 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and 4, it's given me an internal error again. That means we have 3 columns. That was easy because order and by keywords are not filtered. But when I try union statements, they are all filtered in the background, and it will be much more harder. So I just go around a bit and try stuff, and these filters work for me. For instance, instead of writing the word union, whenever U and characters are added, if it sees union and as the rest, it's just filtering and deleting this. So what I did is I wrote union and another union in it. You can also try different cases, but you can interchange like uppercase and lowercase character, but what I did was like the most simple one, union will be the lowercase and there will be an uppercase union hidden in it, and also the same for select. And instead of space, I added these characters, but you can just try these, these are the most common ones. So the next thing I did was I added these instead of space. Then I add union. Select. From there, I said union select all. Like the star, and added another space. Then select everything from keyword is not filtered. I assume that there is a users table, and I want to get every single column and every single data in every single column. So that's what I wrote. Let's see if it will work. I would also like to write something not existing for user ID, so that we'll focus on this data here. When I said this, it's still giving me an internal error because I didn't change select. It's giving me 200 right now. So when I go there, that was way too easy. You know what they say, if you know the answer, it's easy. So I solved this before the video. I think that's the reason why I didn't spend so much time, but it's not that complex actually. I mean, instead of space character, it's probably filtered. You will try the most common things that you can try, And if these keywords are also filtered, such as in this case, you will just change uppercase, lowercase. You will add these keywords hidden in the keywords because they will be deleted probably, and you will try to figure out which keywords are blocked, which keywords are filtered. So it's like puzzles, just playing around, and it's given us username and passwords, and this is pretty cool. Let's try blue husband. I am logging out, same blue, and the password we found, and we successfully log in. So that was a pretty cool exercise. You can play around with it. play around with it a bit. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next video. Hi everyone! In this video, I will show you how to exploit Blind SQL Injection, and I'm using an exercise from PentesterLab called From SQL Injection to Shell 2. So this is a free exercise. It's free for us to publish any walkthrough, and let's jump in. So I downloaded the ISO file and I set it up on my VMware Fusion, and this is my Kill Linux box. So we have an HTTP page, the only port open on this machine, and let's see around. I'm looking for a parameter generally when I'm testing for SQL injection in the first step, but this one includes a blind SQL injection and it's not in any of the parameters. Let's assume that there was an SQL injection here. What I was supposed to do is first I would include a single code. If it's not encoding it, I would encode this, but nothing's happening. I would add a comment. I would say -1 if the result for 0 will be executed. Nothing's happening. Random number if it can be found. And yeah, nothing's happening. So what I can do is I can like see around if there is any other area that I can see or inject. There is an admin login page. As always, I can just say write random things here and send it to burb. It's there. What I can do is I'm generally doing this in the login area. I'm copying this request, generally saving these unnecessary files in the temporary so that it will be deleted after I reboot the machine. Let's say login.rec, say log.rec. I save this request and I'm going to send it to SQL map. SQL map -r for request, log.rec, level 4, risk 3. I always interchange these two values. I always mix which one was 4, which one was 3. I'm generally saying batch so that it wouldn't ask me any questions, just take everything by default. I'm not specifying any parameters because I don't know if there's an SQL injection on the HTTP headers. I think that was it, and I can maybe write DBS to see available databases, but we don't even know if there's any SQL injection. So let's start with this. I can assure you that there's no results coming here because the blind SQL injection is not appearing in any of these HTTP headers. While this is running in the background, I will mention about some HTTP headers. If you dealt with vulnerabilities such as host header injection or something, you know that you should probably inject these HTTP headers here, like x_forward.for or x_forward.host. If you're familiar with these already, you should know that sometimes SQL injection, blind SQL injection can appear in these HTTP hosts too, HTTP headers too, sorry. So what I'm going to do in this exercise is I'm going to start with this host, this header, and we'll write a command to SQL inject SQL map to check for these HTTP headers. So I'm specifying the URL by saying 10, no, I'm mixing with 8 hectobugs, so okay, this doesn't start with 1010. So as always I do, I'm specifying the level, risk. I'm saying batch, don't ask me any questions. What else we can do is we're going to specify the headers. The headers will be x forwarded for, and I'm saying SQL map specific will look for this area by saying the star, and first look for this if it's vulnerable. It can create some problems with the connection. I don't know. two SQL query at the same time. All right, it gave me the result by saying this is injectable. It has a time-based blind SQL injection. That's cool. So the next thing generally I'm doing is I'm checking for available databases because I never dump the whole database. I mean, whether I'm doing a consultancy job or a pen test, it's really mass if you're just downloading everything, dumping everything. It's more smart to see what is juicy, what you can get extract information of. So there's information in schema and photoblog. Photoblog seems cool, and I'm specifying the database at photoblog, and I want to see the tables. It's like going recursively, first database and tables and columns and stuff. So these are the table names. Of course, I'm looking for users because there are probably like email, username, passwords, and stuff. And then I will check for columns. And yeah, the connection is gone. I should probably abort this because there's nothing coming in this. First comment. Yeah. Let me trim in here and I will just reboot the machine because it has connection problems right now. I'm sending my comment again. So it's giving me the column names. And as you see, the login, password, and all these columns are there for us to use. Let's wait for it to end. So this can also happen in a pen test, in a consultancy. It would probably not go that quickly, but if you're doing pen test at a consultancy or doing a pen test for a client, you can really harm the database by sending this by trying to dump every single data. I wouldn't do it. So I'm just stopping this because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump the data, some columns from here. You can say just dump it there because you specified everything already. And that should be cool. And this is the password hash, and it's already cracked. It's an easy one. So this was the total tutorial for blind SQL injection by using a different HTTP header such as x forwarded for or x forwarded host, which doesn't appear by default in the request. Hope you enjoyed it. Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to do SQL injection with a JSON request. I'm using C# 1 JSON from OneHub, and let's jump in. So there is one port open which is 80, and when I go into the IP address for port 80 I see this page. I did some directory brute forcing and I realized that there is a directory called bin and there are some DLL files. I downloaded these files to my own working directory, and I will just see the strings in them. Newton JSON DLL with less. Let's see what we have in here. Something that we can use maybe. I'm looking for the other one. CH2 one level JSON DLL less. Let's see this strings this less. Okay, so we see some files in here, global ASEC, default ASPX that we already saw, which was the default web page. There's a vulnerable ASHX. So this will be probably our way to go. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the default page and I'm going to search for a user. Let's say test. I'm sending this to burp. Okay, intercepting the request. I'm sending this to burp. And here we go. The search request went there. So I'm sending this to repeater because I want to see if any of these parameters in the JSON post request is vulnerable to SQL injection. The first one I'm trying is writing a single code for a username value, and it's given me a 500 internal server error. So when I see the error message, I realize that there's MPG SQL, which is used for database connection. So let me show you first the SQL map for it. I'm copying the request. Going to a temp directory, let's say academia, the rec. And what I'm doing is SQL map minus R for request, academia.rec minus level for risk tree, and parameter will be username, and give me the DBS, all the databases. I should have probably said batch so that it will just go with the default answers instead of asking me all these one by one. And yeah, so this is SQL injectable, error-based, time-based blind, union query. So that's really cool. And we see the available databases in here. I'm gonna go with the public one. Okay, I should probably write batch here because I will play with the rest of the query. So I want to see the tables here. The only table available is users. From there, I will dump the users database to see what information we have in here, which is pretty quick. Username is what, the Bobby, and the password is propane1. That's good. Another thing that we could have done is we could try sleep command. It generally works to detect SQL injection. So what I done is I wrote the sleep command for PostgreSQL after our search value, and let's see if it will sleep for 5 seconds. And it works. Change the value to 2. It will only sleep for 2 seconds. This is the sleep command for PostgreSQL. But yeah, you need to like hover around to realize that it's PostgreSQL, and you need to be familiar to do the manual exploitation. SQL map is giving you the answer anyway, but this was a pretty cool exercise because in most of the pentests, I'm sure that you also find JSON post requests. This is pretty common, so I wanted to show you and include one exercise for SQL injection for JSON post requests. Hope you liked the video. Please drop a comment and cheers. Thank you for watching my video. Stay tuned for more content. Cheers!